Okay, we are live.
We have Jack. All right. Well, welcome everyone. Thanks so much for making the time for this special meeting of council on Friday, September 2nd, 2022 at 1 o'clock. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? I see none. So we will move right on to new and unfinished business. Obviously, a very tough week with the passing of such an amazing community leader, Guy Jamieson. And at this point, I'm going to pass it off to Annette for her reports.
Thank you. So we had a request from the Jamieson family for the funeral coming up on Sunday this weekend. And so because this is a policy decision and we don't have a flag policy or any other policy of that sort in the township, had to call you all together for a special meeting. So thank you for making the time on Friday before a long weekend. The first request is if we can lower the flags. So from this afternoon until Tuesday, when we come back to work, as recognition, as you know, he was a volunteer and also a former Reeve for the township and council member for the township. So that would be request number one. Do you want to deal with that first, Chair?
Yes, please. So can I get comments, questions, concerns?
I have no problem with it.
Okay, so this is staff direction. So what I'll do is I'll just ask for who is in favor. If I could just get a show of hands for lowering the flags.
Okay.
And that is unanimous. That is staff direction. Thank you, Annette. And item number 2, please.
Thank you. So item number 2, they were looking to do something to have some more recognition with the time that Guy has dedicated to the township. And so there were some discussions of what could be done. You know, we talked about the funeral procession. We talked about perhaps having a walking procession and things like that. But at the end of the day, putting something together in such a short time frame, and also the work that it incorporates when you have to have closing streets and mixing people walking and in vehicles was we didn't have the time, we didn't have the resources. So even to take that discussion to council would have been a challenge if we could even have done it. However, in discussions with the family, I asked how many cars are going to be in the funeral procession, because it's coming from the church here right beside the Lutheran church, right beside the township office, up the main street, and then across the bridge and over to the Legion afterwards. And so they figure there'll probably be about 300 cars in that funeral procession, led by the hearse, of course. And so, you know, in trying to fulfill some of their requests for recognition, and also looking at, you know, it could be a safety issue if we have that many cars. I think people know what to do when they see a funeral procession, but to have a couple more visible vehicles in it, being like a tandem and one of the fire vehicles, so a big red and a big yellow vehicle, maybe halfway through and at the end, so that people could sort of see it coming from a distance, a long weekend on a highway. So that would, you know, be a safety thing, but it would also be some more recognition for what they were looking for, because they were definitely looking for something more than just the flag lowering. And again, that's expending township resources, and we don't have a policy for that for a funeral procession. So coming to council to say, is this something that we would like to provide? And so that's the request number 2, for 2 township vehicles and 2 employees for maybe half an hour during that procession. So I don't know, you know, Madam Chair, if you want to go around and see how everybody feels about that.
I saw Tim's hand up first, and then I'll come to you, Murph.
Okay, no, I think with the vehicles that you said are going to be in it without the municipal vehicles, we're probably going to be adding, you know, enough to the long weekend traffic. So I'm in support of the first, lowering the flag, but not in support of the second.
Thank you, Tim. Murph, go ahead.
That I think maybe somebody already has, but somebody should notify the OPP and ask them for an escort, seeing with the volume of things going through town.
I was wondering, you know, that's funny, Murph. I was wondering if the funeral home does that. I'm not sure, though.
I don't think so.
Yes, Tim.
So I had, you know, had taken part in pretty big organization of with John Culp and such in the past, and the OPP will work with whoever the funeral home has, but I don't believe it's anything to do with the municipality.
Brent or Jack, thoughts?
I think for this one, I think if I would probably look like a policy in the future and on the mayor or the reeve standpoint, if they want a fire truck in it, like I don't really see that being a big deal, and be it the OPP or there as like guidance along, because it is a long weekend, just as a safety barrier, then that's good. I'm sure the home would take care of that, so that's fine. But yeah, the fire truck's fine. It'll help illuminate it. Then if we're having a dump truck there, just to kind of keep more of a safety barrier, and that's fine. Especially if people, I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of township staff there anyways. So if people want to volunteer their time, that's perfectly fine on my end.
You know what, Brent, that's funny that you say that, because I thought of that yesterday too. That guy was the reeve in 1994, I believe, and a member of council, as Annette had just said. So I'm going to assume that there will be a lot, and of course, his community involvement throughout the years. I assume that there will be a lot of township staff there as well. Jack, thoughts?
My thoughts on it, I like it's like I'm in agreement with the flag lowering, but I'm not necessarily in agreement with us having employees using our vehicles to go in there. We're sure there might be 300 vehicles, but let's be realistic. If they're only traveling 2 kilometers, it's going to be a continuous line. So I don't understand why we need to have our vehicles in there. It's in my mind, it's just setting a bad precedence, because where do you draw the line? Just because somebody was a reeve or somebody does volunteering, we don't have a policy in place. So I'm not in agreement with the second half at all, just the first part.
Okay, and Merv?
Yeah, I'm inclined to, I mean, yes, it'd be nice, but there's enough vehicles in there already. And I know Guy did a heck of a lot of work for the township, around the township. But again, are we setting a precedent?
And I would say that I know that we're coming to the end of our term, but I would hope that the next council actually puts some of these measures in place so that we do have a policy. I know that we had a former fire chief pass away. This was years and years ago. And of course, they do last call and they do the last ride on the fire truck with the urn or with the casket. So they seem to have sort of a policy on their own, which I think should be incorporated into the township policies so that we don't have to make these decisions on the fly. You know, the family's been waiting. Obviously, it's been difficult to get a quorum together. They've been waiting all week to find out what our decision is. And the fact that all 5 of us were able to come together this afternoon before a long weekend is quite frankly a bit of a miracle. And I know, I mean, Tim's coming to us from what, 2 provinces over. So I really appreciate it, but I do think maybe, Annette, something for you and Sandra to put on a docket for early in the next term of council. So what I'm hearing is that the majority of council, and I'm sort of with Brent on this. I think that for even if you don't take into consideration Music in the Park and all the other things that Guy has done, because he was a reeve, I felt that the ask of the family was absolutely, correct. But what I'm hearing is that Tim and Merv and Jack do not agree with it. And perhaps we should ensure that the family get in touch with the OPP. The other thing I could do, or if some of our firefighters, they have their green lights in their vehicles. They could, if the chief wanted to drive last, he can get his green lights going as well.
I'm all right with anybody using their personal vehicles, Jen. That's fine as long as they're using their personal vehicles for sure.
Yeah, I just thought of it right now. I'm spitballing this because I didn't know how this was going to go. So I'm just thinking if there are firefighters that are in their vehicles, they all have green lights. So they could certainly help out as well. And I think that, you know,
I'd be careful with the green lights. I don't know. I guess if it's in a procession, but you'd have to let the chief, look into that too if they're out there with their lights blinking and stuff. But I don't. Whatever works on the personal end.
I think
We'll have to do it.
I think they're allowed to do that in parades, but I would have to check. I'm not going to check. Annette, I'm going to have you check. He's your employee. Yeah, I would say that, and I know in parades, they're allowed to have their lights going, even in a non-emergency.
The only thing is, it's really not a parade; it's a funeral procession. And even when I organized the thing back in the day for John, we still had to stay within the confines of the Highway Traffic Act. So, by law, nobody has to wait at an intersection to let the procession go. That's a Renfrew County thing, and I was told, and a Renfrew County thing only. And you hope that people have the decency and the respect to do it. But in no way, shape, or form is it lawful or made lawful that you have to stop at a funeral procession. That's out of common courtesy and common courtesy only. So I have been involved in that very well. And so for us to do things outside of the law and the Highway Traffic Act, I don't think we should be involved in, because it's a little different if we had an organized parade, but this is not. This is a funeral procession. So the purple lights on the hearse and on the flower car, whatever it may be, those are just a suggestion. Nobody has to stop at the intersection and let it go through. So I don't think we're at the point right now where we can do anything outside and above that. So whatever anybody does in their own personal vehicle, that's fine. But I really would like to see people check with the law before they go about it. And not saying that people are not going to stop and wait, but legally they don't have to. I don't know if anyone here at the table is aware of that.
So I do know that in a funeral, under the HTA, you are not supposed to use your hazards, but for an emergency, but they do allow them in funeral processions.
So like I say, though, as far as it goes with even coming through the lights in Eganville, if the light is red, it's actually still illegal for you to go through that red light, even if you are in a funeral procession. You still have to follow the Highway Traffic Act unless somebody is giving you, the right of way. Nobody will bother people doing it, but I was told right from the get-go that you still got to follow the rules of the road.
Jack, did you have your hand up?
Yeah.
And the family is aware of that.
Yeah, the problem that I have with the green lights is that really it's an indication for people to pull over, not necessarily, and I don't really know if the green light on the emergency vehicles is the appropriate way to do it. I'm just, people might be confused more than anything else. So,
well, again, I'm just
different.
spitballing. I have not spoken to the chief. It just came into my brain while we're having this meeting.
Yeah.
Yes, Merv, go ahead.
I'm wondering if the police know the size of this thing, if they wouldn't have somebody at the red light to direct traffic. I mean, in Oshawa, we used to do it all the time, but those days have gone by. Like the hearse can lead the parade. The police should be at the red light allowing people through so the whole cavalcade stays together. But, will they be asked for that? I don't know.
And I think that's you hit the nail right on the head. I really think that they should be confirming it with the OPP when it comes to a situation like this rather than a municipality. So if they're concerned about safety and such, that's exactly who they should be reaching out to, because we can't really stop people from, doing whatever for this situation. So.
Well, I'm sure that the family will be disappointed, but I think that they will understand. And I think, Annette, if you could please reach out to let them know, and also let anybody in the municipality know that was waiting on this meeting.
Mhm.
It's getting late in the day on a Friday.
Yeah. Yeah, I said that I would let the family and the Public Works and the Fire Department know by 1:30. I figured we'd have the answer by then. It's 1:15, and I can also shoot the OPP an email just to make sure they're aware of what's happening, because they may not be aware. So it doesn't hurt for us to do that, just to just making sure everybody's safe in the municipality. So I have no issue just sort of notifying the detachment commander that there's going to be a big procession in Eganville on Sunday. That's, at least they know about it, and then how they choose to deal with it, that's up to them.
Esplanade, and the possible size of this thing.
Exactly.
We may be criticized for not allowing it, but I don't know.
I felt that it was appropriate, and only because I think because of the things that Guy has done in our community, but the fact that he was the reeve was where I think that there should be some sort of policy in place.
So we can take that, staff can take that back. So direction to lower the flags for the weekend, contact the OPP and look into other municipalities and what policies they have for their reeves and things like that. And I think there's a request coming forward in the September 6th council meeting for another recognition idea, for music in the park and stuff. So, this is not the only opportunity to have some recognition, but I'll let the family know what the decision is. So.
Thank you, Annette. I just didn't think it was that big an ask, but you know what? This is why we have 5 people on council. So, all right, with that, I have a resolution for bylaw number 2022-050, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council. Can I get a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Tim, second by Merv. All in favor? I'm sorry, gang, I didn't ask, was there any other discussion on anything? Okay, so now I will ask for a mover and seconder that the special council meeting be adjourned at 1:17 p.m. Moved by Brent, second by Tim, all in favor? There you go, Annette, 13 minutes to spare.
Thanks so much again, everybody. Have a good long weekend.